Let's go to the next part. So Ryan, I'm going to ask you to analyze some of this for us. We'll play first this clip of Matt Lee. He's the AP reporter, rock star guy, puts up with no BS in the State Department, just going back and forth ruthlessly with the State Department spokesperson. Here's what he had to say.
Who does have jurisdiction here?
So the government of Israel has jurisdiction
over the occupied territory.
We have jurisdiction
over Gaza, which is not entirely
They
occupied.
have jurisdiction into looking at the actions by their military personnel.
The Palestinians, if they have a complaint, they have to bring it to Israeli courts.
We have jurisdiction, and we
you have
with the use of our equipment.
I'm sorry. How do you have
with the use of our military equipment
Matt,
that we have provided?
How do you have jurisdiction?
If you look at the Leahy law, if you look at
that's not jurisdiction in a criminal process. That's
not in a criminal process, but it has to do with the determinations that we make and the policies that flow from it.
Not
so, but Matt, long term, you were right that we want to see.
You used to work for DOJ, Matt.
You were
on. There's no U.S. does not have jurisdiction.
There are different. I wasn't referring to criminal jurisdiction, Matt. There are different ways to look at this. Long term, we agree with you that the Palestinian people should be a state that has and have the ability to make these determinations. But that's not where we are today. That's where we're trying to get to.
Okay, what the hell is going on here? What is he saying?
Yeah. So the fundamental question he's asking there, he's like, okay, if you are a Palestinian and you feel like you have been the victim of a war crime or a crime against humanity, who do you appeal to? Like, what is your venue that you can go to? Because Miller is saying, well, they can't go to the International Criminal Court, even though Palestine, as a non-member kind of state at the UN, is a signatory to the ICC, to the Rome Statute. They're saying because you're not an official state, you can't go through that venue. So Lee is asking, well, then who? Like, where can a Palestinian go? And Matt Miller's first answer was Israel. And you hear him like, wait, they have to go through Israel? Like, just, you live in Gaza and you're gonna like get a lawyer and you're gonna sue in an Israeli court? Like,
if you can get into Israel.
Like, they're not even gonna let you in. Like, what are you talking about? That's completely absurd. And then he says, well, we have jurisdiction. And I think Matt Miller probably realized he stepped in it immediately when he said that. And Matt Lee, wait, you have jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Like the United States? And there would be a world, because anybody can sue around the world in a U.S. court. That would be kind of funny if that's what Matt Miller meant, that, okay, you can sue the government of Israel through an American court. It's not what he meant, and also it's not criminal. He just means, well, if they commit some crimes, then we'll send fewer weapons, according to the Leahy law. Not that they're actually going to ever do that, but he's saying we could do that.
Right, so but that's not jurisdiction. That's jurisdiction. Over U.S.
And so it ends with, nobody would really have criminal jurisdiction over Israel, according to the U.S. posture here. And that's actually what I picked up on in my exchange with him.
Well, let's get to that. So do you want to set up anything else?
Yeah, no.
Give us some background before we get to your exchange.
Yeah. So the point that Matt Miller and the State Department and President Biden, when he is able to kind of put together a coherent argument that they would make, is they'd say, well, look, Palestinians are not a state. And we believe that you can only have an ICC prosecution if one member state is involved. Now, neither Ukraine nor Russia are signed on to the Rome Statute.
Right.
We're totally fine with that. But people have pointed out that hypocrisy before. I looked back at the original prosecutions back in 2014, 2015 of African warlords. If you remember Joseph Kony.
Yeah, I remember
that viral guy.
The original
complete lunatic.
Panic. Yeah.
Yeah. He was not a state, and he was charged by the ICC, as well as the first prosecution, this DRC militia leader. And the State Department at the time celebrated that. And Jen Psaki was the State Department spokesperson.
Really?
At the time. So so I asked him about that one, to say, like, hold on a second. And these are so, the problem I have with these, and I'm the one doing them, so I'm criticizing myself here, is we know they're hypocrites. And so,
but getting them on
and this
the
is all
record,
about power, but it's still good to
But the more you get to that, I think it's important.
Yeah.
Okay, so with all of that lead up, let's actually take a listen to it.
So back on the question of jurisdiction with the International Criminal Court, you said that because the Palestinians are not a state actor, they don't have jurisdiction over their side. But back in 2014, I just Googled this one up. Jen Psaki was up here, your colleague. The statement was, today the ICC convicted Jermaine Katanga, the commander of the FRPI militia, for his responsibility for war crimes and crimes against humanity. The ICC's DRC cases represent a significant step toward delivering justice for victims in the DRC. She then went on to say the United States reiterates its call for the apprehension of Sylvester Mutakumura, another leader of an abusive rebel militia in the DRC, who is subject to an arrest warrant by the ICC. The Department of State continues to offer a reward of up to $5 million for information leading to his arrest. So at least in 2014, it was the position of the administration that you could even put out a reward for the arrest of somebody that would then go to the ICC and would have jurisdiction. So why does it not that apply to the current context?
So we have supported the work of the ICC in previous cases. I can't speak to this case because I don't know the fundamentals of it. I don't know the jurisdictional questions. Ultimately, the main way that the ICC has jurisdiction is if one of the two state parties to a case is a signatory to the Rome Statute and comes in under the ICC's jurisdiction. That is not the case here. You have Israel, who of course is not a signatory to the ICC. The Palestinians, who do not represent a state at this time, and so in our view cannot sign the Rome Statute and come under the ICC's jurisdiction. I can't speak to other cases. I'd have to look into it in more detail.
All right, explain to that. What's happening here?
So he's basically saying you need all of these different elements.
Okay.
You would need both parties, Israel and Palestine, to one or two of them have to be members of the Rome Statute of the ICC. Palestine is. Israel has rejected it. You know, the most moral army in the world. Why would they ever need to be part of that? They're not.
Hey, we're not part of it either, Ryan. Which I support, by the way.
Second most moral army in the world. And so you do meet that because the Palestinians have signed the Rome Statute through the UN because they're it's called a non-member state.
Non-member state. Yeah, that's right.
But what Miller is saying was, well, that doesn't count. Like you have to be a member state in order for your application, in order for your signature on the Rome Statute to count. Now, nobody else in the world agrees with that. The ICC certainly doesn't agree with that. They believe they have jurisdiction here. So what that is essentially saying to the Israelis is that there can be no accountability through the ICC as long as you don't sign the Rome Statute and as long as you prevent the Palestinians from gaining statehood. The war that they are currently conducting, which the ICJ says is a plausible genocide, and which the ICC is saying includes war crimes and crimes against humanity, is aimed, according to Netanyahu, at preventing Palestine from becoming a state. In other words, from preventing Palestine from having access to the venues through which they would be prosecuted for keeping them from getting statehood. So it's this kind of circular reasoning where as long as they can keep their boot on the neck of the Palestinians and keep them from having member state status through the UN, then the United States is going to say, well, those can't be war crimes because it's not a state.
Got it.
Even though you're like, wait a minute, these militia leaders. And so their argument there would be, okay, well, Uganda and Congo signed the ICC, so therefore it's okay. But anyway.
I thought your strongest point was just, hey, you celebrated it in the past when it's non-ICC or whenever it's a non-state actor. So what's the difference?
And he's like, of course we've supported the past work.
Right.
That's Africans.
Yes, but the real one is Russia because again, Russia is a non-member party state. We all recognize, though, and the U.S. government says at that time, there's no way the Russian courts are going to hold Putin accountable. So we're going to have to go outside of that if we believe in this whole. Now, by the way, as you said, I don't believe this. I think this whole system is fake and that it is all about power. And it always has been, even going back to Nuremberg, which, there are a lot of people who didn't get to go to Nuremberg because they started working on the NASA program.
Right. And his whole point falls apart when you go back to Ukraine because Ukraine is not a state.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a state either. Yeah.
They'll say, well, Ukraine said it was okay if we prosecuted.
It's like, okay. All
right. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
and Ukraine had said that they would allow some prosecutions around the Maidan. So they're like, so that counts that brings them in. It's like, no. But okay, Israel also said, we will work with the ICC here. So boom, according to that rationale, they would then have jurisdiction.
Great point. Yeah, Ukraine's just like, hey, don't go over to the Azov. Just forget about that one. Yeah, we don't need to open up old wounds.
All right. Bygones.
Yeah,
bygones. Ukraine did an independent investigation into whether or not Maidan was a false flag that perpetrated by the far right in the U.S.
And
they never released that report.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show, ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.